Sarajevo assassination of 1914. So this Sarajevo assassination is regarded as the immediate cause, right? Immediate cause of the war. Who can explain what an immediate cause is? Yelena, when you say an immediate cause, what do you mean?
We mean something that happens like right during that moment. Something like that.
Troy, what can you say?
Something that instantly caused.
Yes, like after its occurrence, right? The war broke out, right? So I forgot the name of this text. But when I was doing all level, I think in 2009, 2010, there's a textbook which illustrated the Sarajevo incident. They call it the matchstick. The matchstick, which leads the bonfire, right? They call it the matchstick, which leads the bonfire, in the sense that Papani, an illustration of, Mapfiwa. Atinozogadza poto. Yes, Papani Mapfiwa too. Then vapaiswa huni, vapaiswa ma plastic, nizo. Vapaiswa huni firewood, vapaiswa ma plastics, vapaiswa ma paper, like ready to be what? Ready to fire up, to be fired up, right? So the Sarajevo incident, so in that illustration or in that cartoon, they were labeled, like the huni or the firewood was labeled that this is the Balkan War, the plastics were labeled that these were the arms and naval race, right? So then there was someone who was holding a matchstick, which was already lit, and it was labeled the Sarajevo incident. Why am I saying so? The place, the situation was already built in. So there was only a need for a spark, right? Yeah, even in a car engine, they are what we call spark plugs. Their duty is to spark that conversion which happens in the engine. Maybe I'm lying, I'm not so much vested into the science. So Sarajevo incident became the immediate cause of the what? Of the First World War. We also had the other causes. They built up a situation which was easy for the war to be started when the Sarajevo incident occurred. So on 28th June 1914, Archduke Francis Ferdinand, he was the heir to the Austrian throne, which means he was the next in line for the king, was being driven around Sarajevo with his wife Sofia. So they were gunned down, he was gunned down by Gavrilo Princip. He was shot dead by what? Gavrilo Princip. Because an assassination is a murder or a killing of a what? Of a prominent person. That's an assassination. So Gavrilo Princip belonged to a Serbian society called the what? The Black Hand what? Society. This Black Hand Society was anti-Austrian. It was anti-Austrian. It was formed around just about when the Bosnian crisis occurred. Because according to the Bosnian crisis, Serbia could do the revenge at that time. She was not really prepared for. And even the ally Russia was not even willing to support her because she was still nursing a wound from the Russo-Japanese War. So Serbia was building up, right? She had to form this Black Hand Society in order to do away with what? In order to do away with right. So the murderer had come straight from a meeting of an anti-Austrian society called the Black Hand Society in Belgrade. So Gavrilo Princip was the one who murdered Archduke Francis Ferdinand of the Austrian Archduke Francis what? Ferdinand. So since you are new to this concept, I have to be as simplistic as possible to you. So Archduke Franz Ferdinand was an Austrian, then Gavrilo Princip was a Serbian who belonged to the Black Hand Society. So Gavrilo Princip was 19 years old and he gunned down or he assassinated Archduke Franz Ferdinand, who was the heir to the Austrian throne. So Serbia, the reason why Serbia organized this assassination is simply because she was bitter or she was not happy that Austria-Hungary had annexed Bosnia and Herzegovina, right? That's why Serbia encouraged or supported that spirit of what we call pan-Slavism. She supported what? Pan-Slavism. So there were several organizations which were initiated by Serbia, and the Black Hand was one of them. So Berchtold, there was a man called Berchtold. Berchtold was the Chancellor of Austria, and he wasn't happy, and he knew that the Serbian government was the one which organized this killing. So, but there was no tangible evidence which linked Serbia to this crime. So Austria-Hungary had to consult Germany. Remember, Germany once gave Austria-Hungary a blank check. Are you getting the sense? Yes. We also have to note that friendship between, it was toxic, it was not really a good friendship. That friendship between Austria-Hungary and what? And Germany. And I once mentioned this. There is a certain point at which Austria-Hungary ended up becoming reckless, right? Because he hated Bachi, Germany. And this is what we are having here. Archduke Franz Ferdinand was killed. Austria-Hungary couldn't solve the issue alone, and that's when the involvement of alliance system comes through. I'm now explaining about the correlation of topics, that when you are studying this area, you have to link the topics. Yes, when we studied history at the University of Cape Town, one of the semesters they labeled it connections and interruptions. History is a subject of connections. For you to understand the next concept, you should have understood the previous ones. Like here, the alliance system is coming into play. Austria-Hungary cannot handle this issue on her own. She consulted Germany. Germany already watched to Franz Ferdinand, no it say. So Germany already had some plans. She was itching for, I think I once explained to you about how the accumulation of weapons or that militarism raised that appetite of wanting to fight. So Germany was really waiting for that time. So she ill-advised Austria-Hungary. Akapa advise yakuti aitoziva kuti ovya Serbia icharamba kana yaramba then choba chacha because Germany yanga yagara ine maplans ekutorwisana nana France saka yakabva yatoona pekutovabatira waipapa. So Germany was the one who advised Austria-Hungary to send an ultimatum to Serbia. An ultimatum is a list of demands, and that ultimatum was supposed to be responded to within what? 48 hours. So Germany advised Austria-Hungary what Serbia to France Ferdinand. They've killed the whole head of the throne. So what are we supposed to do? Send an ultimatum in my demands. If they fail to do so, then child torture. So on 23 July 1940, Austria-Hungary sent an ultimatum to Serbia, whose demands were framed in such a way that refusal was bound to be answered. A satisfactory answer was supposed to be given within 48 hours. So, from the list of the demands, the three major ones cited that number one, that Serbia was to suppress all societies organizing anti-Austrian propaganda, including the Black Hand Society. Number one, Serbia was supposed to stop all anti-Austrian movements. Then number two, that Serbia was to dismiss all officials to whom Austria-Hungary objected. Because Austria-Hungary knew that within the Serbian government, there were some government officials or some ministers who were strongly against Austria. So according to this ultimatum, Austria-Hungary told the Serbia, then number three, that Austrian police and officials were to enter Serbia to ensure that the two demands were carried out. Austrian officials were supposed to enter Serbia and see if those two demands were carried out, and also to investigate the what? The murder. So Serbia you know. So for all these demands, Serbia accepted the first two, but she refused what? The third. So the terms of the ultimatum, especially the third one, were not really practical. Imagine we want to what? We want to investigate something in your country. So Austria-Hungary refused to consider this course, and on 28 July 1914, Austria-Hungary declared war on what? Serbia. On Serbia. World War II. That was the first conduct. Like on 28 July, Austria-Hungary declared war on Serbia. And within a week, the whole of Europe was in flames. That's how the war started. So, like Britain, France, and Russia are warned by Germany not to interfere. Because that's a side of Serbia. So, Germany told Britain, France, and Russia. Germany told Triple Alliance. So, but Russia was not willing to see a fellow Slav country crushed by a strong opponent while Germany held the ring. So Russia too had Balkan ambitions of her own, and here was a chance to pursue them. So accordingly, on 30 July 1914, Tsar Nicholas II ordered the general mobilization of German armies. I want you to see this difference. There is mobilization, right? Please take note. There is mobilization, then there is what? Declaration. Right. Pay attention. You mobilize soldiers before declaring war, right? Yeah, mobilizing soldiers is like calling out the soldiers to an assembly, like parading the soldiers, counting the number of them, like even counting the number of weapons available. Then you go on to what? To declare war. So before you declare war, you mobilize soldiers. So mobilizing soldiers is also a signal that you want to fight. So that's what Russia did. She started by mobilizing the soldiers. So this was a threat to Germany, which sent two ultimatums. One demanded that Russia should stop your mobilization. The other insisted that France should give clear guarantees of a neutrality. So after receiving a refusal, Germany went on to declare war first on Russia. That was on 7 August 1914. On 1 August, sorry. Then on 3 August, she went on to declare war on what? On France. But by the Treaty of London of 1839, Britain and Prussia had promised to guarantee Belgian neutrality. So there's a country called Belgium. So Belgium was neutral. I think Patatu was just a alliance system and stuff. I don't know if that one is Belgium. But what happened is Germany violated Belgian neutrality. Germany yakapinda in Belgium, baenda kuhondo France. Those are Britain. Britain were involved in the process. So on 4 August 1914, Britain declared war on Germany. This was because German soldiers had violated the neutrality of the sanctity of the London Treaty, which stated that Belgium is a what? Is a neutral country. So Germany thought Britain would not intervene to protect the Belgian neutrality, since it was a scrap of paper. Because that Treaty of London, Germany had once labeled it a scrap of paper. That's why she had that temerity of moving into Belgium when she wanted to attack France. So Germany, on 4 August 1914, we have Austria-Hungary declaring war on Russia. So at the end of the day, we already have all the European countries fighting on, declaring war on each other. And that's how the World War started. So that's one after the other, honoring commitments made in treaties with allies. Was they promised that each other in the allied system? You get the sense? Yes. If yes, that's what is being applied here. So the major powers of Europe were engaged in the most costly war the world had yet to see. So how did the alliance system contribute to the World War? It increased enmity between Austria-Hungary and Serbia. Austria and Hungary and Serbia were already haters, but after this alliance system, after this Sarajevo incident, it became more serious, and it became the matchstick which lit the bonfire, like I said when I opened the lesson. Again, the other point is the event brought the clash between the Triple Alliance and the Triple Entente, and the incident heightened Slav nationalism and the desire for self-determination, and it was important in that it started the what? The war. It is the one which started the what? The war. So there were long-term causes of the war. We touched on the alliance system, we touched on the Balkan nationalism, we touched on arms and naval race. These were long-term causes of the war. But we are now giving a nod to the Sarajevo incident because it was the what? It was the immediate cause of the war. So on Wednesday, I'm going to do a lesson on answering, because we are now done with the causes, right? On Wednesday, we are going to look into answering, how to answer, right? Because we've moved away from the concept of like the what? The multiple choice. We are now taking questions from actual Cambridge question papers, right? Then we can answer the part A, the part B, and the part C. So I'm going to come with a simple answer, right? Yes, I'm going to come with a simple answer. I'm going to read out to you how you should answer. Then we can, I can give you a question, I'll give you a question on Friday. So next week, EU data will be on course EU, right? Yes, thank you.